dear people. First thing. So, all right. Another day of doing some stuff with slope-intercept form. Some of you must like me enough you want to see me again. I don't know. So there's a couple of things that we can do to kind of help ourselves out when we're dealing with slope-intercept. Now this changes up a little bit up here at the top from what we were doing yesterday, in that they give us a point and then they give us the slope. So here's how this will work. We're going to take the point, we're going to plot that first. So we're going to plot a point at 2, 1. And again, that's my x and my y value. So I go right 2 and up 1 and I put a point. Once I've plotted my point, then I'm going to go the slope from that. And again, just remember, the top number is telling me my up or down. So the 1 in this case is telling me it's going to be 1 up. And then it's going to be from there, I'm going to go right 3. So from this point I already made, I'm going to go up 1 and right 3. And if I want to have another point so it's really accurate, I can do it again. Up 1 and right 3. And connect the dots. That's it. When they give me the point and the slope, I just plot the point and then I just do the slope from there and I'm done. So it's nothing that's too bad. As I kind of keep working my way down, I start to see some things like we were doing yesterday. Now let's see, I gotta see if I can remember this. Which one of these numbers is the m and which one's the b? Which one's the slope and which one's the y-intercept?
2x is the slope.
Okay, my slope is 2, I agree, but you don't need the x, just the number. And how can I turn that 2 into a fraction so I don't mess this up? 2 over 1. And my b is just the number on the end that's hanging out by itself. And I've got to take the sign along with it. So when I get to this situation, my first job is to plot the b, to plot my y-intercept. And again, my y-axis is this one that goes up and down. So I'll plot a point on it first. If it's at -4, which direction am I going to go for?
To the left.
If it's on the y-axis,
You gotta go down.
got to go down. Put a nice big dot there. And then from that dot, I've got to go my slope. Now what's this 2 over 1 mean actually? Which uh-huh. Okay, up 2 and 1 to the right. And 1 to the right. And again, I'll put a couple of dots. I want to be accurate. And I can see that those dots would make a line, so it makes me feel a little better. And draw my line through. The only other thing I want to mention in this section is I want to make sure we all have this right. If we go to number 6 for a second, what number is in front of x for number 6? Yeah, this is -1. So when I'm doing my slope and stuff, I want to make sure I realize that. So here, again, we're working with the slope. We're working with figuring out the intercept. But then speaking of slope, we kind of do a little review down here at the bottom. Down here, it says find the slope of the graph. And we've done this before. We basically have said, okay, let's jump in the middle. Let's do number 8. I notice a couple of things. I see this is going down to the right, so I know my slope is going to be negative. Mr. Slope Guy could even help me with that. And then again, when we're doing this, you can pick any 2 dots. And I'm just trying to figure out how much I'm going up or down, left or right to get there. But when we're doing slope, remember it's always the up or down number first that we're working with.
It's up 2 and over 1.
Well, now if I'm going this, yeah, if I went this way it would be.
Down 2 and over 1.
But yeah, I'm going down 2 and I'm going over 1. So I just went down 2 this way and then right 1 to the right. Okay, that's all I'm doing here. So all I'm doing on these is just counting, and any two dots will get me to the same answer. So if you chose these two instead, that's okay. Or Colby mentioned, could I go like up to and over 1? That would have worked too. I'd have gotten the same answer. Now down at the bottom, I know we keep doing this one every day, but I think it's going to stick then. When it's y equals in a number, is my line going to go horizontally side to side or vertically up and down if it's y equals? Horizontal. I agree with you, because you're like the y-axis goes up and down, so why would it go side to side? But let's think about it for a second. If I go up 5 to where y equals 5 and I put a dot, if I made a line that goes up and down here, my y values would change. As I went down, you'd go like 3, 2, 1, and it'd change. If I put my line horizontally, the y value is 5 at every single point as I work across here. And that's why it goes horizontal. Anybody remember what the slope is of a horizontal line? 0.
0.
0. Yeah, well, there is a slope, it's just 0. It's a mathematical thing, but I see what you're saying when you say there's no slope. Because you're like, I'm not going up or down, I'm just going. What's my y-intercept? 5. Okay, it's just a number. Now when I get to the x, though, a little different. Now if I ask you horizontal and vertical, you know which one it is. If x is 5, because this is my x-axis, go to 5, put a big old dot, and I'm going to have a vertical line going through there. And again, Mr. Slope Guy's got all this stuff too. I might have to pull him back out here in a second. What's my slope when I have a vertical line? Undefined. And since my line never crosses the y-axis, I don't have a y-intercept. I can't put 0 because that'd tell me it's crossing at 0, and it doesn't. Okay, so that one is just going to be none.
I see what you mean.
Yeah. So that's why I want to be more specific than if it does or doesn't with some of these. So then, let's see what we got to do on the back here. All right. Here's the deal back here. Okay, we're going to graph this line on number 1 first. Then we're going to head to the preview. What do I need to do first if I want to graph this line y equals negative 3x plus 4? Which one of those numbers is my y-intercept? Okay, I want to do this first because that's my y-intercept. So if my y-intercept's 4, which direction am I going to go 4? Up. So up 4, put a dot. Okay. Yes. Because then comes my slope. And just like it was just mentioned, I'm going to go down 3 because it's negative, and then right 1. So down 3 and right 1. And you could get away with just making 2 dots, but I just make a third to make sure. 1, 2, 3, 1. And just draw my line through there. Now, you might say, well, wait a minute. This number 2, wait, they're asking me to do something? Yes. Name 2 coordinate points that are on the line you drew in number 1. Okay. So for instance, what point is this right here? Okay, 1, 1. That'd be this guy. And then what point is this down here? 2, negative 2. And I can always make sure I've done things right if I take those values, substitute them in, and I get a true answer out. And here's what I mean. If I plug in 1 for y, and then as I'm copying this, when I get to x, I also plug in a 1. when I figure this out, the two sides should equal. So in other words, here, negative 3 times 1 is negative 3. Does negative 3 plus 4 equal 1? If I owe somebody $3 and then I find $4 in my pocket, am I a dollar ahead? Yeah. Okay. So that's a point on my line. Now, do I need to do this every time? No. Is it something, though, that I can use to double check something? Sure. Same thing here. My other point that I found that was on the line. My y value is negative 2. I just plug it in. Equals negative 3x, but my x value in this coordinate's 2. Negative 3 times 2 is negative 6. If I add 4, I get negative 2. Okay? So it's just my way of kind of double checking and being sure I got it right. And so your only job left on this side is going to be to graph the equation right below, and then a paragraph that's a little extreme. Basically tell me how you graphed it. You know, how do you find the y-intercept? How do you go slope? What is it? And just kind of say what that is. That's all there is left to do on this one. That's not bad. Now our other one, this one I want to do with you because I want to make sure we're ready for this quiz tomorrow. Okay, mini graphing quiz preview. Sketch the graph of the line. Okay. They tell me what the x and y intercepts are. How nice of them. So, if my x-intercept is negative 4, what direction am I going to go for?
Down. Oh, to the left.
To the left. Okay, so to the left 4 there. Then if my y-intercept is positive 5, which way are we going to go 5? Up. And once I have my two intercepts, just connect the line. Connect the dots, I mean. And I'm good. So I would do the same thing on number 2. Which direction are we going for our x-intercept? Which direction am I going to go to where the x-intercept is 3? Yeah. I'm going to head to 3. Then with my other, my y-intercept is a positive 4. I just go up 4. And I'm good to go there. So if it's just giving you the intercepts, you're just plotting them and connecting the dots. Can't be much easier. Now it gets a little more interesting as I move down the sheet though. Sketch the graph of the line, name the x and y intercepts. So here, if we remember back to when we were finding these before, when we were finding the x-intercept, we were plugging in 0 for y. In other words, I was acting as though y didn't exist. And I was just solving the equation that was left. And I can get fractions and decimals sometimes with these. That's okay. What's my one step in my equation I just made to get x by itself? Yeah. Well, it works. It just ends up being a fraction. And that's okay. Or a decimal. So if I do negative 1 divided by 6, you're like, ooh. Like negative 0.17, you know? What am I supposed to do here? Well, I remember with this that my x is the decimal in this case, and the y is 0. So you're like, negative 0.17, that's a really little number. It just means I'm barely to the left of 0, and I'm going to put a point there. And then I'm going to do the same concept to find my y-intercept, except this time I'm going to pretend the x part doesn't exist. So I'm like, y equals negative 1. Hey, that's nice. I don't even have to do anything. That's the answer. And then I put my coordinate point, and I have to do this. If they tell me to name the intercept, they're saying you write down what the coordinates of the point are and then plot the point and connect the dots. So that's all we're doing when it comes to these. So like, let's do another one down here that comes out a little better. Let's do number 6. I like doing the ones with you that turn out kind of ugly so we can make sure we got this. All right. So number 6, same idea. When I'm looking for my x-intercept, so when I cover that up, because if I'm looking for the x-intercept, I'm just looking for the x part of this. So I need to get x by itself, and we do that by dividing. So we'll pop our calculator back up here to get some help with that. And again, if you get a funky decimal, don't worry. Let's see here, negative. We'll just call it negative 1.14. That's close enough. But when I'm asked to actually find the coordinates again, the y value for an x-intercept will always be 0. And I notice when I look at this, oops, I'm a little off the screen. I notice when I look at this, okay, negative 1, it'd be right here. Well, that's a little more. Just a little bit to the left, and I'll make my dot. Because when I have intercepts, I'm just going to plot dots on their axis. My y-intercept, and I pretend the x part disappears. But I still want this minus or this negative that's here. So what's my one step to get y alone here? Divide by negative 2. And negative divided by negative is positive. My y value is 4, my x value is 0. So my y value is 4. I put a dot. Draw my line through. So that's how I always am setting up all of these. When I do the x-intercept, I cover up y. I do the y, I cover up the x, and get to my answers that way. So let's see if things change on the back here. Okay? So on the back is what we were actually doing today some of. These are the ones I want to put a little more time and focus into. Hey, that number 7 should look familiar. Y equals negative 1. Vertical or horizontal? Horizontal. No, horizontal side to side. So here, if I go to where y equals negative 1, which is right here, and I'm going to put a horizontal line in there. And again, this is where Mr. Slope Guy, if you have him, can come in handy. I'm just saying. But for the, it should be. So then, for the rest of these, I'm going to plot my y-intercept first, my number on the end. If it's negative 2, it just means I go down 2. Put a dot. And then from there, that number in front of x is my slope. Now, here's the thing to remember. That negative that's in front, it can go on either number, but normally I just put it with the number on top. And sometimes I'll even do this and rewrite it so I don't forget. So if I have a slope of negative 1 over 3, what does that mean? What? Yeah, I'm going to go down 1, and I'm going to go right 3. And I always like to make an extra dot. And once I get those dots made, connect the dots, and we're good to go. But that's what we're on the lookout for when we're doing these. All right, let's see. For number 9, what's my y-intercept? What number's hanging out on its own? -3. So I go down 3 and I put it on. Yes, nicely done. Yep, we're getting there. If I don't see a number in front of x, it's just 1 over 1. So I go up 1 and right 1. Up 1 and right 1. What's that? If we can't get 3, it's not the end of the world. I just do it when I can. Yeah, because that's a good looking ahead on that one. For 10, for those of you watching at home, this lesson, I'll give you a heads up. It's a good life lesson for people on understanding immediate versus long-term goals. My people who are going along here, going to get through, go on to the next thing. Some of my people are still going to be eating their own candy while they're working really not fun jobs at an older age. So, highly unlikely. If you're not going to make wise choices.
No, I'll be rich.
Okay. I will make a mental note of that.
When I come back to this school rich as hell, I'm coming to see you.
Okay. I look forward to it.
I got it.
I look forward to it.
I'm not living in California.
Okay.
I got big dreams.
And that's good, but you got to have the work ethic to actually get to them. They don't just show up. So where am I heading with my slope this time? Okay. All right. Up 2. Oops, I almost lost it there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, and some of you had mentioned I can't get my 3rd dot this time. I ran out of room. That's okay. That happens sometimes. All right, let's see. A couple to go here. Now 11, I threw a curveball at you. Is there a number just sitting there with no x attached to it? No, there's not. Close. If I don't see a y-intercept at the end, and I do see something that has x, we're going to put a 0 on for my y-intercept. Yes. And right, we're always going to turn our slope into a fraction. And again, the number on top is telling me how much I'm going up or down. So we're going to go down 5 and right 1. Now, if some of you really wanted to put a 3rd dot on this one, we actually could. Yeah, we can do the opposite of both of these. I could go up 5 and left 1. And still get it set that way. And then my last one, x equals horizontal or vertical? Vertical. Go to where x equals 2, put a dot. Vertical line through there. Okay. So reminder again, the quiz tomorrow, shocker, will be 12 questions. What did you just say? The quiz tomorrow will be 12 questions. So then, what I'll do is, I'm going to put the 4 papers that are going to be in this next homework check, I'm going to get them pinned up there so you can see what they are. And you've got about 15 minutes to knock another sheet out and maybe finish up your homework check.